explain the problem, so just the objective in general.
Right.
So I return to redefine the objective in more detail. When I have defined, like what is the deontologic process, what is the control, what is the control requirement. I have these kind of terminology, then I restate the objective more clear.
You're way closer to it than I am, but if you come from outside, I don't know, what do you guys think? Is this pretty clear?
He's talking to the committee people.
That's what I mean.
We expect the committee that's...
And they already know, yeah, you're right.
But this should
be more a job, more for a job talk.
Yeah, job talk is different.
Yeah, you're right.
The reason it's only 45 minutes, he's summarizing.
And it is a very deep, yeah.
He's summarizing for the, putting it all together.
But that's just...
This should not be first contact for anybody.
Yeah.
Right, good point. Okay.
So the first one here, like an abstract of the dissertation. You see, we place the general objective, the general method. The method here is not detailed yet, and the way to validate. The way to validate is to compare the result with the current available procedure. And then look at the deontologic process and write the control, and look at the current procedure to see what they require, what are the control required in the current procedure. And the thing I get, the result I get is that our method, the method that I developed here, can derive all of the control requirement specified in current procedure, the current international payment procedure.
The last statement,
derived by,
you may want to change that.
Remove
by the method automatically, that's right, that's the title. Right. Right. And the application domain, the method that I developed with the intention to work on various kinds of domain, application domain, are certified to create a solution here. There are multiple autonomous parties. The second one, the party may not trust its order. If they don't trust its order, then they may not need the method. They just do the construction and rely on the order to do their part. And the third one is there is a set of norms governing their activity. The set of norms here include two sorts. The first one is based on the contract, the agreements among the participants. And another source of norms is from the government or the international organization and so on that issue the convention or rule that govern international transactions. In this research, however, I used the domain of international trade procedure as an example and validation. The reason is that currently there is a strong interest in redesign of trade procedure, and I will come to elaborate these kinds of things. And trade procedure are probably the most complex interorganizational procedure.
the most.
Yes, the most. Right. And international trade is a well-established domain. The thing is well-established that we have a lot of available models, so we can compare this work again. This is a very important thing for design research. I mean, we need to rely on certain empirical data available somewhere and to compare our work again. So now if you look at a trade procedure, this is a typical import-export procedure. You can see there is a complex relationship and a complex exchange of documents among different parties involved in the procedure. And Professor is very familiar with this one. So just briefly skip through this slide. The thing here, the point I want to stress in this slide is that in the import-export procedure, the basic task is very simple. Like the seller deliver goods to the carrier carry goods and deliver it to the buyer, and the buyer make payment to the seller. Basically, these are the most important things in the import-export procedure. However, if you look at a typical import-export procedure, you see it's really complex. There's a lot of things moving on. Why? The question is why? Because there's a loss of control added into the procedure. For instance, there is many documents sending back and forth among different parties. What is the function of the document and why they need to be in the procedure? My research will try to explain why a document is needed in a procedure and why a control activity is needed in a procedure. So now, as I said before, trade procedure is really complex procedure. Studies show that a typical trade procedure involves 30 parties and 40 different types of documents. That is the regular trade procedure. But if you do business on certain kinds of product, dangerous product or chemical product, for instance, the requirements is much more than that. Studies show that shipping a chemical container from Germany to US require at least 40 parties involved with about 100 times of different documents. So there are various document or control activity in the procedure increase the cost of trade. So studies show that the cost of procedure is about 2.5 to 15% of traded value. The cost of procedure, the cost of the document requiring the procedure, and so on. And if you see that the traded values in the year 2006 is hit 11 trillion, and the latest numbers last year is 13 trillion. So multiply 11 trillion with 2.5% is a huge, huge amount. And actually, the European community estimates that. It's a really new data. In 2004, they estimated the potential saving on transforming trade procedure to electronic form, save 300 million euro a year. And by the way, at the same time, if you move into electronic procedure, there are more chance for small and medium-sized enterprise accept into the trade procedure, accept into the international market. And by doing so, by release the procedural barriers of doing business, it has to increase the trade volume about 10%. So currently, trade procedure is cumbersome, and there's a huge potential benefit for redesign or simplify trade procedure. And this is a contemporary concern. In the year 2005, the European community committed 1 billion euro a year on trade facilitation. And trade procedure, simplified trade procedure is a major component. The purpose of trade facilitation is not to abandon control, but the thing is how to find a better way to implement control. So why we need the formal method? We can do the redesign manually. Why we need the formal method? Why we need this kind of complex work? The thing is that current approach usually look at the current document in a procedure, or current activity in a procedure, and replace it with electronic counterpart. But the problem is that the one replacing is not always feasible. For instance, if you look at the bill of lading in the paper-based procedure, the bill of lading represents the right to possession of goods in transit. So in traditional paper procedure, transferring the possession of goods in transit is simply done by transferring the bill of lading. That can be done because in the paper, they can secure the transfer so that when the consignor transfer the bill of lading, the consignor does not have the bill of lading anymore. They don't keep the paper document anymore. But in electronic form, electronic records can be duplicated perfectly. So we cannot apply the same way. That means transfer the electronic record from one to another. The owner still have the exact copies of the electronic record and can use it to claim for the possession of the good. So you see the ways of implementation in paper-based procedure and in electronic procedure are totally different. So the one-by-one conversion is not always work. Another thing is that redesign of inter-organizational control is complicated due to the highly interconnected of the multiple autonomous procedure. As we just pointed out before, a trade procedure may involve like 40 parties. Each of them have their own internal procedure. And these procedures need to be linked in order to make the inter-organizational procedure to support the trade transaction. So any error in a single procedure may make the whole procedure